What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. We are back and complete. Say hello, Gab and Maui. Welcome back, guys.
Hello,
It's
finally.
been too long. Tagal.
Tagal ng
Oo
last
nga,
episode.
Dami nangyari.
daming nangyayari. It's been a while. We got busy. I got COVID, by the way. So, PSA, guys, may COVID pa rin. FYI, just in case hindi nyo alam, may COVID pa rin. So, we're back. Ang daming nangyari. Ang dami nating pinanood na very exciting games. And we just ended technically three preseason tournaments. We got 3 UAAP champions out of the preseason tournaments. We're going to talk about those games. Let's think the first one that ended was the Filoil Championship or the Filoil Preseason Cup. We got LaSalle versus UP. I think they were the top two teams talaga across the entire preseason for Filoil. But I think it ended 11 points, 9 points, nanalo UP, but that wasn't really the whole story. I think UP led by as much as like 20 points. What are your thoughts on on that game, Gab?
All right. So, yeah, you're right, Sam. It wasn't really a close game. I think UP was ahead for most of this game. LaSalle was trying to play catch up the whole time, but they couldn't get it below 6. They got it below 6 maybe one time in the fourth quarter, but then UP made the run. My takeaway from this game, first from the LaSalle side, is can they play in another way aside from their fast-paced pressing defense? No, they play really fast. They launch a lot of threes, early offense and all that. But can they play another way? Because basang-basa sila ng UP nung game na yun eh. I think for anyone who watched that game, UP had their number. They dug in defensively. They protected the paint. Kevin Kiamba was nowhere to be found. He couldn't get his shot off over the length of UP, especially Malik Diouf. But also, they turned the ball over so many times. And that's a credit both to Coach Gold and the UP defense because they were really digging in defensively. And LaSalle committed so many turnovers. Part of it was UP's defense. Another was they were just so sloppy. And back to my point, you gotta play. You gotta change the way you play if you're being adjusted to by the other team. UP was already knew how you were gonna play. You have to adjust. And nakaka-frustrate lang ng first to fourth quarter. They just stuck. Coach Topex just stuck with the fast offense, launch a lot of frees, run and gun, and all that. But they weren't really getting over the hump. Yung nakahabol sila by getting quick buckets, yung forcing turnovers. Pero at some point, you have to learn how to slow it down, no? Kung talagang basang-basa ka na ng UP, alam na ng UP kung anong gagawin mo. So, yun lang. Siguro, pang first time mo makalaban LaSalle, like what happened with Ateneo when they first faced LaSalle, magugulat ka eh. Diba? Magugulat ka how LaSalle played. Oh, yeah, exactly. They will blitz you. Fast offense, pressure defense, they will run the floor, they will run you out of the building. Pero once, like what UP did, like, kung nasanay na sila, alam na nila, there has to be a plan B. So I'm interested, maybe Coach Topex has a more intricate half-court offense there. Kasi wala eh, just one way to play, and that's all they know. So that's my biggest takeaway. I thought UP locked in defensively. LaSalle couldn't switch up what they were doing, and it cost them the championship. Maui.
Sorry, Gab. Yeah. Before we go to Maui, Gab, do you think that's more on Coach Topex, or is it also because of the personnel that he has. Kasi alam natin yung mga guards ng LaSalle are very high octane, fast-paced guards. Even yung bigs nila like Michael Phillips likes to run. Kevin Kembao also. Is it yung people in the team, or is it really more on Coach Topex to sort of like make that adjustment or force that adjustment on the team?
I think it's got more on Coach Topex, but it's got to be both then. I mean, Evanelli, ang tanda na niya. He's
Fair points.
Diba? I mean, you can also talk to your coach. He's the floor general out there. I mean, he could just say, okay, yung let's slow it down, yung let's run the play. Coach, maybe mas maganda is slow down mo natin because we're turning the ball over a lot. We're giving a lot of free buckets to UP. So, I think both. And for Coach Topex, I love how he coaches the good vibes on the bench, but it can't all just be that. There has to be some adjustments that he has to make. I'm sure a lot of Lasallians were very angry at that game. They were undefeated the entire preseason cup, and now tinatabakan sila ng UP sa finals, and no adjustments were being made at all during the entire game.
Okay, Maui?
Yeah, you touched up on LaSalle dominating the preseason. They actually won one of the tournaments, yung PBA D-league, but that was against lesser competition. I'm not sure if the teams of San Beda and Letran was complete nung tournament. But yeah, I have to look at LaSalle. LaSalle has been dominating this whole preseason. Sa Pinoyliga, they're not dominant because they play mostly second stringers, Team B players mostly. So, but if I'm LaSalle, I would be concerned. This is their first real test, yung game against UP. They went up against a UP team that is the favorite to win the title next year, or probably one of the favorites to win the title. And
they both played it like a real UAAP game, diba? I think you guys would agree yung that was really their UAAP rotation now. More or less, diba?
Yeah, more or less. And you gotta be concerned if you're LaSalle. Last year, they were very dominant no off-season. They were still dominant, I think, mostly no first round, no UAAP season. And then they faltered no second round. The question is, how will they adjust? Gab touched on this. They're playing a high-octane offense, pressure defense. But when teams start to adjust to that, will they be able to play a different style of basketball? It's very early in the off-season, but for me, the results have been encouraging, especially since most of the players naman of UP, yung core players pa rin nila is still the same. They really dominated yung Filoil, and I think it's justified given their strong off-season and most of their players. I mean, their floor general is still the same. Malik Diouf, the most dominant player, probably gonna be the most dominant player next season. He was the most dominant player most of last season, except probably the finals when Ange Kwame played to his best. But yeah, if I'm LaSalle, again, I would be concerned, but not that much. My main takeaway from from Philo is it's one of the first tournaments. If you look at a team like Ateneo sa Filoil, they lost their first 4 or 5 games, and then they won all the remaining games. So maybe LaSalle is just peak too early. We'll see, but I'm very encouraged by what I've been seeing with LaSalle. That bench decorum is very nice. Everyone seems to be playing well. It's not like last season when they faltered, they had to go to Shawnee Winston. Now everyone's contributing. Everyone has a very good positive attitude. So hopefully they play better. But so far, given the preseason, it looks like Ateneo, LaSalle, and UP are one of the favorites for next season. We'll get into another favorite later.
Oo nga, ko-comment dapat ako doon. May nakalimutan ka atang.
I do wanna yung let's add something lang for we keep talking about LaSalle, but I do wanna give some props to UP. I mentioned earlier the length of UP. Again, my very early prediction since the end of season 85. I still think Malik Diouf is gonna run away with the MVP for season 86 because
I
that's
agree.
For
an
sure.
example that
I
you
For
agree for
sure.
sure.
that game, yes, that game against you against LaSalle in the Filoil finals showed how dominant Malik Diouf is. He was contesting everything at the rim. They couldn't get anything past Malik Diouf. And when you get past Malik Diouf, you have help defenders such as LeBron Lopez, Francis Lopez, Mark Belmonte. They have a lot of tall, athletic four guys beside Malik Diouf. And wala, ang galing talaga ni Malik. Just the way he controls the paint, the way he rebounds the ball. I think he's a lock to be MVP. And the entire UP defense, I think their defense has always been their calling card ever since Coach Gold took over. No, we can talk about the star power and the 3-point shooting, but their defense has always been solid, and I think it's still gonna be solid in season 86. Sam, want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to say the way I would describe yung play ni Malik Diouf would be effortless. I don't think he's trying that hard eh. Yun yung nakakatakot eh. Kasi sometimes I feel like sobrang chill lang niya maglaro but he's dominating everyone. I think it was an earlier game. I remember it was UP-NU sa Filoil. Parang lamang na yung NU and then Malik comes in and he does like a personal like 6-0 run or something like that. It's so easy for him to score on the offensive end and like to block every single shot on the defensive end. So he's going to be literally a big problem for all the UAAP teams this coming season. And to be honest, I really don't know who can stop him right now. Like whether it's a local or an import. Dasal ka na lang. Sa totoo lang, dasal ka na lang.
Kami lang dati.
Exactly.
Dumating si Dio.
Siguro one thing that I do want to also point out, and maybe we can transition to the other games also in the Pinoyliga. One thing I did notice about UP is really yung coming out of Torculas and more importantly Mark Belmonte. I think Belmonte top
was
scored
so
dun sa
good.
Filoil. Sa
Legit
Filoil
Belmonte.
finals,
He was
'di ba?
so
I think he
good.
was the leading scorer.
So good.
He also led a couple of games sa Pinoyliga. I think Torculas had like 1 or 2 games where he was like the top scorer. When you talk about the length of UP, it's not just Diouf. It's like these two guys that are like super long and athletic. What are your thoughts on those two guys? And how does this affect, medyo loaded question, no? How does this affect ngayon playing time for two top recruits, Pablo and Gagate, which if you saw the games or you look at the box score, barely played in these last few games. Mas linaro pa niya sina Belmonte, Torculas, sino yung other guy? Yung medyo shooter.
Chico Briones.
Briones. Mas nakalaro
Briones,
pa nga si Briones eh. So, ano sa tingin mo? Maui, let's go with you first.
Yeah, before I talk about them, I think I have to issue a statement of apology also to LeBron Lopez. LeBron Lopez has been
Hindi pa natin pag-uusapan yun.
Yeah, LeBron Lopez, Belmonte, and Terculas, all of them have been. I guess si Belmonte, we are pretty high on him, so I'm happy and at the same time not surprised that he's showing out. But LeBron Lopez has been as good as advertised. I was shocked kasi I was expecting a very raw prospect, somebody's uber athletic. But if you watch the games, he can create. He creates off the dribble. He has a good in-between game. He has floaters. It's not all about the athleticism. It's not all about the dunks. All about the highlights. He does the small things. He hustles.
And he can defend, Maui. He's very good on defense.
And yes, he can defend. And he plays 2, 3, and 4. And I think when you talk about Lebron Lopez, you talk about Belmonte, and you talk about Terculas playing well, it spells trouble for Pablo and Gagate. These three players are very versatile players. I think Belmonte, Terculas, and Lopez can probably play the 3 and 4. They can defend the 3 and 4. They're fast enough, they're long enough, they're tall enough, they rebound the ball, and this spells trouble for uh, less developed big men such as Pablo and Gagate, who will probably, as we mentioned during previous episodes, will probably need a year probably in Team B. It probably, especially Gagate, in my opinion, it's probably the best thing to happen to him is to sit out next year and develop more skills and try to transition to the 4 slot. When you talk about these players, when you talk about Malik Diouf, and you talk about the coming of Sean Alter, it spells trouble for these two guys. The 5 slot is probably locked with Sean Alter and Malik Diouf. All the 40 minutes are going to be going to both of them. And you have 3 wing players who are playing very well. And you're getting fewer and fewer minutes this preseason. And I think this spells trouble for the both of them.
Gab.
Yeah. Tama si Maui, no. You mentioned Belmonte and Terculas, but I think the biggest threat to the both of them, to Pablo and Gagate, is Alter. I didn't really know what to expect from Alter. All of his highlights on YouTube were just him dunking the ball, getting yung getting the pass in the dunker spot and laying it in. Those were all his highlights. So I didn't know what to expect. I thought he was just a tall guy. But apparently he's pretty good. He's a pretty good roller in the screen and roll.
Yeah.
He can rebound. He's more in control in the paint. He has a good touch in the paint. He has
Very good
better footwork. Yeah, very good hands, very good feet. His footwork is spectacular. Way better than Pablo and you and Gagate. And I know there were some of our subscribers already comment that they think Pablo is going to be the replacement of Carl Tamayo. I don't think so. I think they play the best when either Lopez, Terculas, or Belmonte is playing the power forward slot, and they're surrounded by 3 other shooters, and of course si Malik Diouf at center. I think that's their best lineup and their most dangerous lineup because it spreads the floor open. If you watch that game, if you watch the finals against LaSalle in Filoil, a lot of Malik Diouf's baskets were coming off cuts where LaSalle defenders would close out on shooters, and then they would take it to the paint and just dish it off to Malik Diouf for easy dunk or lay in. So that's how I think they should play. That's how they've looked the best in the preseason, by playing those 3 at the 4, especially with Francis Lopez there. I think he's a game changer at the 4 slot. He's so fast. Yeah, he has shooting. Yeah, so for Pablo and Gagate, again, I don't see how they're gonna get minutes in this lineup talaga. Some are saying you could play them next to Malik at power forward. I don't think that's gonna work. They're gonna get eaten alive by faster players. I think they're both, as of right now, they're both centers, and with Alter and Diouf still there, they're 3rd and 4th centers in the lineup. That's it.
Good point. Good points. If you haven't seen that episode where we talk about who will make the final cut dun sa 16 players ba yun for the UAAP, watch that episode on our YouTube page. We cut one of Pablo and Gagate. So isa sa kanila we cut, isa sa kanila we kept on the team, but I think given yung progress of the team now and their players, we all agree it's going to be hard for either of them really to get playing time this coming season at least, given yung loaded lineup ng UP. But okay, I want to transition now to another team, a team that we talk about how dominant UP was. But this is a team that beat UP in the semis of Pinoyliga, and I really think would be a dark horse team to win the championship this coming season. Let's talk about
Again, a dark horse team.
again a dark
They were
horse
a dark
team.
horse team last season.
True. And so we want to talk about NU, the NU Bulldogs. And I think yung very interesting dito sa NU is we all thought, okay, NU was going to be strong this coming season because they have most of their roster intact. 'Di ba? Most of the roster intact. They were gonna add Jumamoy, and that would be it. That would be it, diba? I mean, Jumamo is like a MVP level high school player. So that's a good addition. He's the type of player that they need. I think what we saw with the semis game, especially nung NU and UP, is they actually added a lot of good players to the team. It's not just Jumamo that really fit well with the NU system. So let's talk about that. Gab, I know this is probably one of your favorite games so far sa preseason. Is that correct? Yung NU versus UP. Talk about that game.
Yeah.
Ano mga nakita mo?
Well, first of all, for anyone who hasn't watched that game, I think it's on Pinoyliga's Facebook page. You could check it out, rewatch it. But it is so worth it to watch it. Grabe yung
Classic.
sobrang exciting yung game yan. UP, I think, led the whole way until the fourth quarter where Don Lim caught fire. And then they were just trading baskets in the fourth quarter, went to overtime, traded baskets again, headed into double overtime. Everyone on NU was cramping up. They had no more players. So
Don Lim didn't finish the game, di ba? Hindi niya natapos.
Don Lim, Lim and
Francisco.
Lim and Francisco both cramped up. They couldn't finish the game. And then it came down to a pull-up three by Reinhard Humamoy over JD Kagulangan to win the game. And wow, I was on the edge of my seat just watching that game. Grabe. So just some observations from the NU side muna, since you want to talk about NU. This is what we've been waiting for NU. What they lacked sorely in last season, in season 85, shooting, offensive playmaking. And I thought that was their bench, diba? There was no Baklaan, Nash tuloy, Enriquez. There's no Baklaan.
Mananasala, I think, didn't play.
Mananasala didn't play. Malonzo fouled out in the second quarter. What the hell? So this was basically their bench playing against UP. And I thought they looked a hell of a lot better than their actual Team A, than their starting five. Because they had playmaking and they had shooting, a ton of shooting. Francisco, this guy Jello Santiago, who apparently came from CEU, Humamoy, Don Lim, those are all shooters. And they were draining threes on UP. They were doing a lot of pick and roll, kick out to shooters, and making a lot of it. And not just the perimeter guys were playing well, yung shooting well. Also their big man. I want to give a shout out to PJ Paloselo. I think in our season-ending podcast in season 85, I called him a possible breakout candidate. And he's proving me right. He looks slim now.
He looks good.
He looks good. He looks slimmer. He's added a jump shot, a mid-range jump shot. He has incredible post moves. I love his post moves. So obviously, Coach Danny Ildefonso has been working with him on that. And he can actually jump high. I didn't know that. He could challenge, he could block shots. I think in that game he had two crew. Yeah.
Gumaan.
Yeah, pumayat. Gumaan siya. And I think in that fourth quarter he had two crucial blocks just to keep UP at bay and get NU that much closer to tying UP. And so I'm pretty impressed with NU. I was telling you guys yung in our chat, no, this team looks hell of a lot better than when all of their rotation guys are playing, because all of their other rotation guys are not knockdown shooters. Manansalas not, Figueroa's not, Steve Nash is not, Baclan is more of a scorer. He's not really a shooter. But all of these guys, man, they showed out. And I was so impressed. Hopefully they get more minutes. Coach Jeff Napa, hopefully he finds more minutes for these guys. Because he will need them. He can't play non-shooters all the time surrounding Kian Baclan or Steve Nash.
Maui.
Yeah, I think
Anything
yung
to add?
key takeaway talaga sa NU is you have to give props to the coaching staff. Coming into the game, when I saw that they were sitting out most of their players, I did not expect to watch a gut-wrenching double overtime crazy game that Jumamoy would end up hitting the game-winning shot like that over JD Kakulangan, as Gab said. But I think the key takeaway really is, Gab is right. NU has really surrounded their play. They've emphasized the importance of outside shooting. If you watch one of the games sa Pinoyliga or sa Filoil, when I think in the Filoil, it was NU against CSB, and Figueroa also broke out and probably hit 5 or 6 3-pointers. So I think NU really emphasized the importance of outside shooting this offseason. We highlighted this during our broadcast episodes during the previous season, that they need more playmaking, number one, and then they need more shooters. And the emergence of these second stringers, Don Lim and si Francisco, even hit a crucial 4-point play nung game against UP, is a welcome sight for NU. And I think teams we really have to accept that NU is probably not a dark horse team anymore. They are a contender for next season. They are to be reckoned with. They beat UP when UP was playing most of their key guys.
Diouf and Kagulangan played.
Was there. And it's going to be interesting to see how the rotation plays out. John Lloyd Clemente, I don't think we mentioned before, already went pro. So there will be more minutes available for the wing slot and the shooting guard slot. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I think Jumamoy really showed why all the hype. He showed why he's surrounded with all the hype. He's really a player to watch for next season. The question is, how many minutes will he stagger with Steve Nash, and how many minutes will he play with Baclan? I think they've shown this offseason that they can play both of them, two out of the 3 players at the same time. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out during the coming season. But you guys failed to mention that Ateneo won the Pinoyliga Cup. This is a big...
We'll get to that, Maui. We'll get to that.
I just say that Ateneo won the Pinoyliga Cup. So anyway, I think just a final thought on NU is that they're not a dark horse for me. They're a contender for next season.
And I just wanted to say something else. I do want to give props also to their foreign student athlete, who's Mo Diasana. I thought he played a really good game. He was I also think he's much better than Omar Jan.
Omar Jan.
I'm sorry, Omar Jan. But yeah, he's a lot more mobile than Omar Jan. He's better as a roller on the pick and roll. He can jump high. He's stronger. He's much bulkier than Omar Jan. And we also multiple times already since season 85 in the Final Four, in the Ball Out Sports, in the Filoil, Malik Juf just eats Omar Jan alive every time. Walang sinabi si Omar Jan kay Malik Juf in all of their matchups. But Mo Diasana matched up pretty well with Malik Juf. And I think Malik had a lot of trouble with Mo Diasana's strength and his leaping ability. So for me, I think Omar Jan is still going to be their foreign student athlete, but I would be pretty excited for Mo Diasana whenever he's primed to take over Omar Jan's slot. So just a shout out to Mo Diazana. He played really well. I was impressed.
Okay. I have nothing to add. I think Maui, what you just missed out was Don Lim is also there. So I think it's like Nash, Baklaan, Jumamoy, Humamoy. Sorry, hindi ko alam yung pronunciation. And then
Hindi ko
Don
rin
Lim.
alam.
And I think that's like a solid like 4 guard rotation for Coach Jeff Napa, which I really think they complement each other really well. I think you saw in Pinoyliga how the new additions, including Francisco, eto talaga, saan ba galing to? Hindi ko out of nowhere to for me eh. Like 5 of
Really?
8 or 6 3-pointers. Na-mention ni Mau yung
Because
4-point
Sam,
play.
yung during the elimination round, I watched NU versus Ateneo during the elimination round. And bangko tong si Francisco eh. Hindi siya nilalaro. So nagulat ako. Bakit siya biglang babay?
Kaya nga
Kaya
cramps, Gabi.
Kaya
cramps
nagulat din
eh.
siguro siya.
Oh, hindi
Kaya
expect eh.
for
Hindi
being
siya
ready.
So I want to see more of him. I like how he moves. I like his effort. I like him on defense also, like a 3-and-D kind of guy. So hopefully we can see more of these second stringers and para hindi na sila mag-cramps, no? Pati si Don Lim. Go Gab, you want to say something before we move on?
Ako, I just want to see more. I know they play a lot of Mike Malonzo and Manansala as their power forward. Pero maliit kasi si Malonzo at si Manansala eh. I would like to see them play more maybe an Omar John and Palacelo as their power forward. Because with the way he's slimmed down, I think Palacelo can play power forward. And he has a better outside shot than both of them. And he's bigger. So, para sa akin, give more minutes to Palacelo. And I think they have other big men in their bench. Si Padrones. I forgot the other guy's name. There's another big guy there.
Yeah.
So, para sa akin, give more time for Palacelo at the power forward stuff. I think he could do wonders there for NU.
Yeah, and I think na-mention mo, Palacelo was like your underrated breakout player for the next season. And he hindi naman siya out of nowhere, no? Itong si Palacelo. He showed flashes of his skill nung last season. I think when he had the chance to play, he was really good. He had a soft touch na and medyo makikita mo, medyo may mid-range na rin siya at that time. So, I think it was really good for him to slim down now and like really work on his game. Makita mo yung improvements eh. So, expecting a lot from Palacelo this coming season also. But, as Maui mentioned, hindi NU ang nag-champion. I was surprised, to be honest, because I thought NU was really, really good after beating UP. Ang nag-champion was Ateneo, who I think went undefeated in Pinoyliga. After, I think the last time we talked about Ateneo, we were talking about, is it time to press the panic button for Ateneo? I think I had one of the higher panic ratings among the three of us. But I think Maui was the one na hindi masyado nagpanic nung time na yon. So Maui, take us through Ateneo's run at Pinoyliga. Anong nakita mo? What changed coming from like that 4 straight losses nung Filoil to dominating Pinoyliga? Ano mo nakita mo?
Yeah, I think when Ateneo started kasi sa Filoil, sobrang rusty talaga. I think Gab mentioned this in
Sabog.
Sabog. One of the episodes, finals. The finals.
Nag-aral sila yung finals week.
Finals week of Ateneo just ended. They had to play 4 games, I think, in a span of like 10 to 12 days. They lost all the 4 games against all UAAP teams. But
5
games against all UAAP teams. And then when they finally got through the hurdle, they won the last 4 games of Filoil, and then they won all the Pinoyliga games. But if you look at the Pinoyliga kasi, LaSalle wasn't playing all their players. UP didn't play all of their players in all of their games, but they just won the Filoil. But yeah, if you watch Ateneo, it's like watching a different team completely with the same group of guys. Some of the players probably cemented their place in the roster. I think LeBron Nieto probably will make the team. We were skeptical at first, but much like Gab Gomez was during the previous season, he gets better every game we see him. He plays defense very well. He plays both the guard slots, and I think aside from LeBron Lopez, probably si Jared Brown. Jared Brown has been playing spectacularly. I think from the start. Much like Kai Balungay, Jared Brown is probably one of the most consistent guys sa Ateneo from the start. It spells trouble for Paul Garcia. I think we mentioned before, Paul Garcia is probably not gonna make the team.
He's not making it.
He's not
He's in
making
the
it.
doghouse.
He's in the doghouse. Kahit si Espinosa got his chances and he played very well some of the games. But I think it's really about Ateneo finding their groove. When we talked about Ateneo during the start, only Balungay was playing well. Even Amos was not playing well. Amos even had an injury scare. He hyperextended his knee. But one of my concerns when we talked about Ateneo was, will Amos and Balungay play together? And yes, Ateneo is starting to experiment with Balungay and Amos playing together. And it's really, I'm happy.
It's good.
It's good.
It's
I'm
good.
happy. I'm surprised.
On offense, Maui, it's good.
Yeah, in offense. But at least we get a glimpse of it. I think for Ateneo to win next season, they have to get a few minutes together. There will be moments when Obasa will have to sit down and Gio Chu will probably back him up. But another welcome sight again is Gio Chu. We talked about Gio Chu last off season, and I hope and pray, like most of the Ateneans, that Gio Chu's play in the off season, much like last season, will hopefully transition to the UAAP. If you watch the last preseason, Gio Chu was really starting to turn the corner. When Kwame was still recovering from his knee injury, Gio Chu was the sole center for Ateneo. He played center for Gilas, and he was playing a lot better. And if you watch the end of the Pinoyliga, you saw that Gio Chu was starting to get his groove back. He started to get his confidence back. You see the feisty Gio Chu, yung magulang, and kunwari walang nangyari pero talagang naniko, nagpapalaglag lang para hindi halata. But I'm happy to see him finally aggressive. I think Ateneo is starting to turn the corner. Much like the other teams, they're starting to train abroad. And I did not panic. I panicked for probably a few games, but I think Ateneo is finally turning the corner. And they are a contender for next season. It's really about Coach Tab. Whoever the player are I think Coach Tab has proven himself. Ateneo, during Coach Tab's first year, lost 7 of its key guys, and they still went to the finals. So Ateneo is a contender no matter who they play, as long as Coach Tab is the coach. That's my statement.
Okay,
What do you think, guys?
Just want to add siguro, Ateneo still didn't play probably their best lineup yet, no? So there were some players that didn't play in Pinoyliga. Let's say Fortski didn't play that much. But siguro one of the players that joined the team later on that really also changed the dynamics of the team was Chris Kuhn. I think that was
Yes.
something that we talked about when we were talking about, like, is it time to press the panic button? We said they didn't have yung legit 3-point shooter. They weren't hitting any of their threes. I think Chris Kuhn coming back really helped on the offensive end. You mentioned Lebron Nieto na also hitting his shots. I think the game is starting to slow down for him. By the way, hindi na ata Lebron Nieto yung tawag sa kanya, no? I forget.
Josh,
pero
Yung
Josh,
our guy,
Josh Nieto.
Josh daw, yung sabi ng bro natin, si Nico Rocha.
Sabi ni bro Nico and our friends Nico and Naveen called him Josh.
Okay.
So
Josh.
it's Josh
So,
Nieto now. Nobody wants to be called LeBron because of the pressure.
okay. Hindi ako sanay.
It's Francis
Gab,
Lopez
anything
and Josh Nieto.
wanna add? Oh, Francis and Josh.
Okay, so my observations from that finals game. So again, another close game. I think while we are gonna focus a lot on Ateneo, I just don't want to give my props again to NU. They played the same lineup that they did against UP, and they played really well. Again, the amount of playmaking that they have on the floor at all times with all of their playmaking guards and shooters is just better to watch rather than they play the non-shooting wings together. I'm not saying don't play them at all, but I'm saying, stagger them a little. Don't play them at the same time when you don't have enough shooting on the floor. But anyway, on to Ateneo. My first point was actually uh, Joseph Obasa played like shit. So I think that's why you saw a lot of Gio Chu minutes, and I was happy with how Gio Chu played. He again, sabi nga ni Maui, he was feisty. He was banging inside, rebounding, blocking shots. Sam smiling because yung alam mo Sam, yung pinapaasa ka na naman ni Gio Chu eh.
Oo, exactly. Nakita ko na yan before eh. Sobrang na-excite na ako noon eh. Pero nawala eh. Kaya, sorry, medyo skeptical ako. But go ahead. He was really good sa Pinoyliga.
Play of the game.
He was really good.
Semis or quarters.
Yeah. So, yun. Joseph Obasa couldn't get anything to go. And I think he was benched for the entire fourth quarter. My second point, Sam, you made it. Chris Kuhn makes a huge difference for this team. Just his shooting threat, his playmaking. He's a second point guard on the floor. Coach Tab made him the backup point guard last season for some reason. So he's an extra guard on the floor. He can bring.
Now you see it why.
We hated it.
Yeah.
We hated it
Now you
last
see
season.
it, all the training, all the heartaches.
Lahat ng turnovers.
But he shouldn't be a main point guard. He's always beside a Brown or an Espinosa during that game. He was always beside one. But as a secondary ball handler, as a shooter, as a playmaker, he makes a load of difference. Chris Kuhn. So yeah, I think we also made this prediction when we ended season 85. Who was our breakout player for Ateneo? It's definitely going to be Chris Kuhn. A lot of minutes have opened up for him with BJ Andrade and David Alfonso. So he's thrust into that role. My third observation was what Maui said also. In the fourth quarter, Coach Tab went a lot to that Balungay Amos front court. And I think it worked wonders on the offensive end. And I just want to give a shout out to Mason Amos. He looked pretty lost at times, or he looked uncomfortable during their first games in Filoil, and even during their first few games in Pinoyliga. He didn't look like he had his groove. But I thought in the semis against Emilio Aguinaldo, tinabakan nila by 30. So nothing to take from there. But here in this game, I thought he got his points within the system. He knows the offense already. He's getting his shots up off dribble handoffs, off kickouts. So he's not forcing anything. So I'm happy that, yung initial fear ko with Mason, I didn't say it to you guys, but that maybe na may idea siya na, okay, I'm supposed to be the high-level recruit. I'm supposed to be a star. Maybe take a lot of shots, ganon. Yung be the main guy. But he hasn't been like that. And kudos to him, no? He's playing like a team player. He's working hard on defense, even though he gets beat a lot, but he puts in the effort. So, I've been pretty impressed with Mason Amos as the preseason went along. And yeah, that Balungay Amos lineup, I think Coach Tab will go to it more, especially when he needs an offensive bump, an offensive push, because they could really spread the floor and do a lot of actions off of that Balungay Amos front court. Other observations, the defense is still solid for Ateneo. It's still their calling card. Much like UP, they've been the top two defensive team since season 84, and I think that will continue for season 86. No, yes, Coach Tab, yung tama si Maui, yung Tab we trust.
Trust the process of Tab Baldwin.
Okay, but I think just to recap or to summarize final points for Ateneo. Something to watch out for would be the other players. Sa totoo lang, hindi pa natin napapanood lahat. I think Kyle Gamber just joined the team, so he's starting to play with the team. Yung may mga exhibition games sila. I think that was against Letran. He played there. Late additions then to the team during Pinoyliga were the Cebu kids who just graduated from high school. I think mas nakapaglaro si
Celis. Played a lot.
Celis. Who showed I kind of like his game.
Like his game.
He had some moments. He
Yeah.
had some moments. He was pretty good the first matches.
Siguro si Celis, I don't know why, but Tab is making him bring down the ball and medyo nagiging turnover prone siya kapag siya yung nagbababa ng bola.
Parang si Kun lang yan.
Yun na nga. Yung sabi nga ni Maui, parang si Kun lang.
Yun na nga eh. So medyo naiinis ako. Pero we'll see. I trust Coach Tab. I will not panic anymore. But yeah, I think Ateneo's getting their shit together, and I think we'll see more from Ateneo as they finally get like a complete lineup and when they tighten the rotation. Anything you're looking forward to for like Ateneo or any of these teams?
Just anything. Just one more thing that I just thought of now. I just also want to give a shout out to Ian Espinosa. I think he played well. I mean, Fortsky didn't play majority of the Pinoyliga, and I think Ian Espinosa and Jared Brown also did a good job managing the offense. Jared Brown's more of a scoring guard, more of a shooter. Ian Espinosa, he makes some threes but doesn't have that consistent shot. Although, he is a bit of an asshole. Si Ian Espinosa. Yan, ano kung na-observe nyo? Well, he talks trash. He puts out elbows. He's spunky. He's a spunky guard. We didn't get to see him play in season 85, but now getting to see him play, I kind of like his game. He's a tough guy. For his small stature, he's an asshole.
He has a notorious reputation. Let's keep it at that.
And I think ganyan siya ever since high school. If
Pesky
I remember
talaga,
correctly.
Pati sa Batang Gilas,
undersized guard.
Pesky guard.
Yeah.
So I guess just go ahead, Gab.
It's the battle for the third string point guard. So it's obviously going to be Fortsky and Gab Gomez. So whoever is going to be the third string point guard, it's a battle between Jared Brown and Ian Espinosa.
Sorry, Paul Garcia. So siguro just to end, anything you're looking forward to, or what else do you want to see like the coming weeks or months before the start of the season from Ateneo, from any of the teams?
Ako personally, I want to see more games. Ang saya na may Filoil and ang saya na nagka-Pinoyliga, to be honest. Shout out to the Pinoyliga.
Ang saya na may libreng live stream.
Libreng live stream and we talked about this before going on air. Ang saya na nakaka-view ng stats online. Hindi galing kay Pong Duanes na screenshot lang. Hopefully the UAAP starts to invest sa online platform para naman yung stats makita natin, hindi lang kay Pong Duanes. I think hopefully we see more games, but I think most of the teams are starting to go abroad and start their real training camp. We'll probably see them in the season. But hopefully we get a surprise. But again, I'd like to shout out to Pinoyliga. Congratulations to our compadres na podcasters din, to Nico Rocha and Naveen Ganglani for calling out the games.
Really good coverage.
Yeah, really good coverage.
Really good.
Especially since I think this is their first main tournament. tune in to some of the games. It's all available in Facebook. Even yung mga alumni leagues, yung mga old school, yung mga you want to watch Eric Salamat, you want to watch
Tubid.
Ronald Tubid, Paulo Balde, sometimes si Artadi plays, one of my favorite players, old school players. You can tune in sa Pinoyliga and watch yung over 30 na games nila. So, thank you for Pinoyliga. Hopefully, we have another league. Kasi Filoil, that's it for Filoil. I don't think they host another tournament for this off-season. So, just, I want more games, to be honest. There's no NBA, there's no UAAP. I want more games. The FIBA World Cup is coming, but I want more games with the collegiate teams. Hopefully, we get more this off-season.
Okay.
Ako, same as Maui, I want to see more games because, especially for Ateneo Lasal, because we still have to play luck, maybe or nah, for Ateneo and yung and Lasal. And there's still some guys we haven't seen from Ateneo. I've only seen glimpses of Kyle Gamber. I haven't seen Michael Asoro play. So in order to play that game, luck maybe or not, we gotta see these guys play. And yun, again, same with Maui, just more games. Hopefully we don't get any news of any injury to any of the players. Tagal pa ng UAP season. Tagal pa.
Okay. So, yung
3 months to go.
Yung mga UAAP basketball freaks, yan ang gusto. Want more games. Gab and Maui, mga basketball freaks yan. Same, I guess, but I think I'm gonna focus on a specific team. I want to see the UST Growling Tigers. Kasi wala ba akong napapanood na game ng UST? Puro mga recruitment news or umalis na. Yung mga recruit nila na bago.
Hindi ba nababalaro? Hindi ba na nakita? Maalis na.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see more games, specifically the UST Growling Tigers with Coach Pito.
The biggest mystery in all of UAAP. Exactly. We don't know how they're gonna look.
Style ni Pido yan. Style ni Pido.
Ganun ba yun? Hindi ko alam yun. So,
sila Jerby Cruz, gulat na lang dati eh. Ngayon, magugulat na lang din.
So yun. So for me, specifically USD, I'm looking forward to watching them. But I think best way to end this podcast, Maui already said it. Gab, you mentioned it. UAP, come on. Look at this coverage by Pinoyliga and even by Filoil. We watched all the Filoil games. You can rewatch it on YouTube. Pinoyliga, you can watch it on Facebook, real time or anytime. We have digital stats for Pinoyliga and they update it within the day. Within the day, meron na tayo agad digital stats.
Within the game, bro! Within the game!
FIBA, yung FIBA.
Come on!
Yung Filoil live. Gabi's right, yung Filoil is live. During the game,
live updates.
Because of FIBA. So hopefully they partner up, they do better. Shout out to Executive Director Attorney Rebo. Please make it more accessible, make it
more
digital.
Accessible.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it. We'll end it at that. Thank you. Sorry, medyo napahaba. Almost an hour for this episode, but with 2 weeks, kating-kate na to si Gab. Ilang beses na kami tinitext, let's do a pod. Thank you for listening. We'll have more episodes soon. See you. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Bye-bye.